Rahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome everybody for today's much awaited event. Okay, so introducing you of Prof.Dr. Faridah Haji Hassan. She is from the Department of Ranking at UITM Global, Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, and also the Vice President of World Academy of Islamic Management, Chartered Institute of Marketing and McFear, okay, MACFEA. And Prof. Faridah was the founder of Halal Management and Sains, okay, Halal Mas, Director of Institute of Business Excellence, also a former Dean Faculty of Business Management, and her works had involved in numerous international research consultancy, training, publications, and Prof. Faridah is also the Chief and Associate Editor for two Scopus Journal, okay, MAJCAFE and Emerald, JIMA. And Prof. Faridah has also made her name as a regular invited speaker in various international halal conference, marketing, strategic business management, and also in the areas of Islamic products service. Yeah. So I think this is a very great opportunity of knowledge sharing, and I also hope that it will actually be a platform for networking later after this. Okay, so Alhamdulillah, I will try to share.
Alina, I think I can do it already.
You can?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, I think it takes some time.
All right.
Okay, yes, yes, Dr. Faridah. The session is now all yours. Let us welcome Prof. Dr. Faridah on your topic for young generation in modern fashion industry. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Inshallah, inshallah. If the thing appears...
yes, it looks good, Prof.
Yeah, but now I can't see it. So, just a minute. So I can't see to what do you call that? I can only see. Wait. Just a minute, yeah. Maybe I think I know why. All right. Never mind. I think I use my screen. I assume that what do you call that? Just a minute, yeah. Let me put on the slideshow. Okay, you can see that fully now?
Yes, Prof, it's beautiful. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, great. So I can't see my face and your face now. I'm just seeing the screen. So I think that's all right. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And very good afternoon, late afternoon from Malaysia. It's already excuse me, it's already 4:30 p.m. here. Okay, so thank you for the other ladies who are with us today, Datin, Raskidah, and who else I remember, Amina, I think I saw her name. Thanks to Prof. Alina for moderating this afternoon. It's great to hear that you will be helping us. There's so much that we can chat on halal actually with Prof. Alina. She's an expert herself. So today it's great to see her back virtually. Anyway, first of all, I'd like to thank SMIC as well as Halal Trade Zone, especially our patronage Secretary General, Mr. Hassan, as well as the CEO, Brother Noor Muhammad from the Halal Trade Zone, a very hardworking, diligent person that I bumped into last year virtually. Haven't met him in person. So anyway, thank you for having me today, and thanks to Dr. Alina, Prof. Alina from USIM, who is obediently helping the whole halal group. And I have to thank her a lot. She shared so many WhatsApp previously, which I benefited a lot. So today I can thank her in person. Anyway, my title for this afternoon is on the young generation in modern fashion industry. This research was done with my research assistant, their names are Shazwani and Nozaima. I'm currently with the Department of Ranking, UITM Global, a new unit that was developed this year. And but my attachment is also with Ashad Ayub Graduate Business School, and we are all from Universiti Teknologi Mara. Okay, this is a bit of the outline that what I'm going to present, which is very common, yeah. So except the additional part that I like to share over here, that my team did in depth will be on the TOS analysis, which is the extension of the SWOT analysis that most of you are very familiar with. Okay, a bit of the introduction. Why the modest fashion? Yeah, the in thing that has been, I would say, highly debated of late. Whether is it modest or is it Muslimah fashion, or is it Sharia compliant Islamic fashion? So these are the three terms most often used, and they are also interchangeably reflecting Islamic fashion. However, okay, I need to highlight the need of discussing on this Islamic fashion is because of late the Global Islamic Economies report stated that fashion is currently one of the key sector that contributes to it, and that is following closely to the food sector, the biggest one, apart from the Islamic finance. But fashion is during the economic booming is one area that really kind of catch up very fast because of trend, and also I guess because of lifestyle. Yeah, so everybody wants changes, something new. Now I need to highlight on the Malaysian environment since I'm from Malaysia, but this paper that I'm presenting is actually related quite a lot to Southeast Asian countries, which includes the Muslim countries like Indonesia and Singapore, but also benefited their neighbors like Thailand, Philippines, and in Singapore. And Singapore especially because they are really upbeat on the economy. So anyway, in Southeast Asia, the word hijabers or Hijab Vista was introduced way back in 2011 and 2012. Okay, so it's actually about it's just referring to the veil that that is denoted under the Arabic word of hijab. So when we talk about Hijab Vista, it's actually a combination of hijab and fashionista, meaning you want to be fashionable and yet you want to be a stylish Muslim women. Okay, so this contributed a lot to the development of Muslim fashion in Malaysia and Southeast Asia itself. So you can see like Muslim fashion magazine Aquila Style did a lot on this promotion in Singapore in 2010, the Hijab Vista magazine Malaysia 2012, and also Muslimah magazine in Indonesia ever since 2013. Okay, so Singapore you might be wondering why Singapore has a lot of interest over here, because all along, ever since independence, Singapore worked very hard to be in the international arena. So from trading of food, anything, like hardware business or software business, everything are the areas of Singapore strategically moving into. So it's not I would say not a surprise for them to go into the Muslim fashion too. Anyway, the world of hijab itself, okay, you can see over here, all the red dotted lines, the dotted points over here are the countries that have legal restrictions, whether in the government or sector or in the education. They do not really encourage for the Muslims to really practice over there. However, you can see that there are some countries which are quite relaxed about it, which is quite common to see women in the central part of Africa and also CIS countries up here, okay, emerging or embracing in wearing hijab. But the other lighter green colors are the common countries, yeah, including Malaysia, Singapore, and Bangladesh, and UAE, as well as Northern Africa, as well as Turkey. So these are the common one, and the prevalent one would be the darker side. Okay, this group. Okay, and the mandatory would be the dark green, which is the Saudi or the Iran, and even North Indonesia, Aceh, as well as Malaysia, that is in the region of Kelantan and Terengganu. So you have for those entrepreneurs, they have to really focus. Where are they targeting? Okay, when we talk about modest fashion, migrating to Islamic fashion. Now let's take a look at women's wear. Under the research only, we will discover that women's wear has been an area of concern since way back years ago, and they have developed a lot of definitions on it. So as you can see over here in figure 1, there are about, I would say, if I'm not mistaken, I think 8 basic silhouettes of the women fashion. All right, from the tube, pencil, hourglass, A-line, bouffant, bell, and what do you call that? Bustle. All those are available on this diagram that you can see on the right. So there are a variety of clothing you can see over here, yeah, from a dress to blouse and skirts, okay, and trousers and jackets, the top and outer garment. So some are for official and some are informal wear, evening wear, or casual and sports wear. All right. So for those of you who are not into fashion, this is a time to open up, and also reflect on yourself. Which of these categories do you belong? Now let's take a look at the. All right. Let me see what went wrong now. Just a minute. Yeah. Okay. So in continuation, Islam considered dressing as an ibadah. Ibadah means it is a duty, a role, yeah. It's an obligation to cover up, and for a Muslim, it is a reflection of obedience to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala and also His Messenger. All right, what should she cover? It will be body and hair, and they normally the materials are made up from medium thickness of material so that it does not show the color of the wearer's skin or shadow contour of the body. And it should be loose and long, and do not invite any negative vibes, okay? And the headgear is a must for a woman to cover her hair, okay, and downwards. So the headgear worn by the Muslim women basically, by definition, the burqa, which is quite common in Afghanistan. They cover the heads and the body, and they have the grill, okay, right in front of their eyes. And then we have the niqab, where they cover the mouth and the nose. Very, very, if you look at these two, actually, one time you become an Islamophobia issue. But I think with this COVID times, people are grabbing or moving into this kind of fashion. So they, like over here, they just open their eyes. But of late, when you talk about variant virus, COVID from Africa, as well as from India or even UK, you're talking about airborne viruses, so they need to even cover your eyes, okay, because these droplets can just move around and fly around. Now, the next one, hijab, which is very common, like you can see Dr. Alina and myself are wearing, is just the oval-shaped headgear, headscarf, okay, and it is widely used in most of the Muslim world. And the last one, chador, you can see a lot in Iran and Afghanistan, and it's like a cloak itself, they cover everything except their face, and very interesting. But although you see that as the outside fashion, but inside, I tell you, when I met them, they're very corporate-looking ladies, with two pieces of, materials like pantsuit and all that. And I'm just amazed the way they look into fashion. So anyway, the modest wear that we would like to define from the very beginning, focusing on this paper, is to look into the 4 primary functions of clothing. That is utility, how you utilize it, modesty, immodesty, and also adornment. And later on, that was introduced or defined by Jones, 2011. But Sprouse in 1979 had 4 more other functions that he defined further. Or in fact, he originated earlier. That would be symbolic differentiation, social affiliation, okay, psychological enhancement, and modernism. All right. So all that composition of modest wear. Sorry. So in Islam, the way a person dressed tells people that the person is a Muslim. and the government does not emphasize on the what do you call that? I really can't see my slide from here. There's this thing covering the words, but I think it doesn't emphasize the what do you call physical outlook of the wearer. Yeah. Okay. Other than that, okay, the three key trends in Malaysia. Malaysia's modest fashion, why it becomes so important in Malaysia of late, so pertinent, is because hijabs are becoming a status symbol in Malaysia. And it's been worn by the affluent Malaysian Muslimas. They not only flaunt their wealth with luxury headscarves, but they look chic and modern, very presentable, very, how do I say, lively, you know, and all that. And one particular company that really got good I would say rating as well as acceptance on the hijabs, on the veil, that she's an entrepreneur. Her name is Vivi, and the product that she is promoting is on dark scarves. Now, the cheapest dark scarf that she sells online is about 200 USD. And the common one that on the high end is about 500 USD. So it's good money over there, and it's good acceptance by the community here in Malaysia. Yeah. So modest fashion is making a statement, okay, why it is considered as modest, because the millennials, the young groups here are no longer seeing modest wear as old fashioned, because they do mix and match. And for those of you who understood about the K-pop group, yeah, where the millennials embrace that kind of K entertainment, K music, and K lifestyle, K fashion, and all that, no? They themselves kind of mix and match the fashion from Korea and Islamize it, and or put it very in a modest way to align it with the Islamic fashion. So, you know, they still look very Korean trendy, but yet they cover from head to toe. So the products actually can combine traditional elements with fashion forwardness. So you can actually adopt any culture, including from India or from China, maybe Cheongsam or Sari. But how you, how do I say it? Innovate it matters a lot under the modest and Islamic fashion. And the other one would be the modest fashion that can be offered on the site, would be on the global brands. You know, surprisingly, Uniqlo are well loved by the Muslims, because a lot of their dresses or the clothing that they sell of late are really baggy looking, you know, but looks good. Okay, so another group would be Hana Tajima's collaboration, and both this group really promote online on IG, on Facebook, and all that, and they are doing very, very well. Okay, let's move on. So the modest wear for a Muslimah, they should adhere to Islamic faith, and is definitely categorized as modest fashion to begin with. But if they really comply, you know, remember when I showed you the 4 pictures just now, from the hijab to the chador or to the burqa and all that, they move from modest fashion to Islamic fashion, actually Sharia compliance. Yeah. Now in the Malay culture, Malay means it's very much Polynesian around here. All right, Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia. So their costumes actually complies to Islamic teaching. And we have one dress known as baju kurung. Baju means clothing. Kurung means confined. So we have confined clothing that are worn in schools. And for your information, in Malaysia, the non-Muslims are also wearing this for functions, as well as in schools. Quite a number, I would say, of non-Muslim students are wearing it, because the parents feel good that their children are dressed very decently. So this is, Malaysia is a good example of I would say a pilot test market to see the acceptance of how do I say, fusion, yeah, moving from modest fashion to Islamic fashion, and also from food, you know, to halal food, you know. Okay, so we are looking into them wearing traditional dresses, and then they move on to more trendy, fashionable lifestyle of clothing. So you can take a look at example over here. A Malay wear actually looks like this. Normally it's kind of like a long dress, but because they are very inspired by the current needs of the youngsters, so they innovate the sleeves, the design, and then the what do you call that? But still look very decent, yeah. And some with headgear, right? So they sell it with headgear sometimes, right? So the clothing are very loose over here. And take note, the one on the left are mostly very pastel color. The one on the right would be like earth tone color, yeah, very maroon, or very is black in color, you know, very corporate looking. So other than that, I would like to highlight to you on the length of the garment and unrevealing shape and design lines would be considered as the basic criteria. So whether you're from Turkey or Iran, Indonesia, you have to have all these principles. But the colors are not normally, as I mentioned to you, kept to earth and natural shades like this, yeah. So you can see black color and very pastel color, except for this pants, which is very floral. Eh? So we are looking over here how fashion styles in the market are moving according to the time, and all these are being promoted. You know, the youngsters are normally easily influence or accepting a lot of information from newspapers, fashion magazines, and online fashion with tutorials, you know, so they enjoy the interaction given by them, by these producers. So some LR on it, you can see over here. When it comes to Al-Quran principles, it is stated that what is allowed and prohibited of how a woman should dress. Okay, so the garment must also follow the rules of the Quran. There are more research on this, yeah, especially not only on the design, but also the materials used, how good it is to your skin and to your health. Okay, that's a different topic altogether. So the dress actually depends on the form of the garment based on the length, volume, thickness of fabric, as well as head cover. So some, you know, once upon a time, even, I mean, I was one of those who put on the head cover at a later age, and not during my younger days, because at that time I would say Islamization in Malaysia itself is still evolving. So when I went to Mecca, you know, to the Holy Land, I was wondering, I mean, don't they feel hot, you know, in the whole covered dress and all that? But later on, when I slowly move on and embrace it, I realized definitely not. And the perception of, you know, others towards modest fashion is totally wrong, you know, until they discovered it. In fact, in Malaysia, due to the non-Muslims starting to wear the modest fashion, they realized how good and protective it is to them, and quite a number has already embraced to be a Muslim, and now they are champions in the Islamic fashion. Okay, and some of them were actresses as well as fashion designers from the Western fashion designer to become a Muslim fashion designer. I mean, really interesting. So all right, so what I wanted to say is, like over here, even in the Al-Quran, okay, Surah An-Nur, it's already stated that a woman should not dress like a man and vice versa. So that is very important, yeah. So in one of the criteria of how the fashion should be under the Islamic context. Okay, let's move on. The biggest spenders on Muslim apparel, as you can see here, billions of dollars, actually starts off with Turkey, and then UAE, Emirates, Indonesia, blah blah blah. Then you're wondering, where's Malaysia? We don't have that many population as these countries. Yeah, these are big countries, so they really spend a lot. But we are selected players in the Muslim fashion market. Okay, and Indonesia being the fourth largest big spenders, and they are the top Muslim population in terms of size in the world. They lead the way. The retailers like Hijab, Vista, Sakina, have the designers. These are very, very, I would say, prominent designers in the fashion industry. Dian Pelangi, Itang, and in Malaysia we have this group of Niloufar, very popular in Malaysia. Within 5 to 10 minutes, their clothing are gone, millions of dollars, for Ringgit Malaysia, because they have big followers under the IG group and under SOCMAC, social media group. The Middle East, we have these few groups like the Dust Collection and Rabia in UAE, and these are the retailers, all right. In UK, we have the Islamic Design House, and they have designers from the Roof Collective. And in US, we have Macy's, okay, and they go for veil garments, and Asharifa is from California, so she does designs on the veil and garments. Now, other than that, I wanted to highlight over here about the same. Okay, these are the principles. So we are talking about whether it's a blouse, trousers, skirt, dress, or outer garment and headgear. It has to follow the requirement of the Islamic principles. And so the rest of it, I think I've mentioned that a lot earlier. So types of Muslim must wear, you can see over here, except one more that I need to add over here. What the earlier four I have mentioned, discussed earlier by definition. One more that is also in the group of fashion is called the Dupatta. Dupatta with the long scarf, which is loosely draped across the head and shoulders, and is common in South Asia. Okay, meaning India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and all that, and Pakistan, and they are paired with matching garments, right? So that's one additional one. Now these are some coordination characters. You can read it on your own. What I wanted to highlight over here is that there have been a lot of fashion festivals in town, okay, across the globe. Okay, from New York to London to Milan to Japan to Russia. I forgot about Russia. And then come down to KL, Singapore, Indonesia, even Australia, if I get it right, before the COVID times, before the pandemic. And these are the characteristics that were highlighted during the fashion show. I just want to show you some of the ones that I'm also involved in, because I did a conference during one of these. I was invited to run a conference during this fashion festival. So this one, the first one is at in Kuala Lumpur, Jakarta and Dubai, okay, about the same team. In fact, they were run by one person that is I would consider her a chairman of this group. So she brings to all three countries. And right, so you can see from the what do you call that? This is the confined dress of Indonesia and also Malaysia, and then they move on to other what do you call that? Jubah or abaya, yeah. So they mix and match. Next one, this is in Kuala Lumpur itself. This is the one that I mentioned to you that I took part because my team had to do the conference research on fashion. All right, it was very interesting. It was an eye opener for me and my colleagues, and we drew a lot of attention from many what do you call that? Researchers from other countries. This is Modernisa in London, 2017. I met the designer there. She had her own boutique, which was very interesting. And this one was in New York. The Indonesians took part in this fashion show in 2017. Okay, so very interesting. You can see how it digressed and converged between or amongst continents and countries. Yeah. So other issues that I wanted to highlight in this paper is on the design produced by non-Muslim designers and brands who has little knowledge and understanding of the religion. Recently, we had one issue in Malaysia where this Muslim lady, she wore a dress, but there's an opening at the shoulder, but she put on a headscarf. And I think that was not acceptable in Malaysia. I mean, you have to decide. You want to be an Islamic fashion designer, it has to have a fashion, Islamic fashion, what do you call that? Outlook, yeah? It cannot be in between. Unless it's a modest fashion, then the design may be different. So there are inconsistencies in this because of the lack of understanding and interpretation of Islamic fashion. And other than that, I think this is quite similar. Yeah, in fact, in food, yeah, if, I think Dr. Alina will agree with me. We are not talking about pork-free or alcohol-free equivalent to halal food. Okay, so it's something like this too. We're not talking about what do you call that? Principles of Islamic fashion being accepted as Islamic fashion. Okay, so it's either yes or no. All right. So the implication of lack of education and understanding of the rules of Al-Quran affect the design works and appropriateness of the term fashion. So for non-Muslims who wants to go into this business, they must be educated first, appreciate it first before they do the business. So some discussion on it, analysis. So Islamic influence is seen in all designs that project Islamic or modest fashion, right? And a common character agreed by all designers must be that this dress have long and loose bodies, colors are subtle, and the use of the headgear is a must if it has to be an Islamic fashion. So the Islamic fashion has 6 factors altogether. 1, the faith. 2, aurat. Okay, so for a non-Muslim may have difficulties in understanding this, right? But the rest are quite common even in modest fashion: the length and volume, the material, and the head cover. Now, this is the outline identification of Islamic fashion. So you can see over here fundamentals of it. If you comply, it becomes Islamic fashion. If you do not comply, it may be only up till modest fashion, right? So some analysis that we did for this study from SWOT, okay, SWOT, then we move on to the TOS analysis. These are SWOT critical factors. But my team did the TOS analysis. I just want to quote a few. These are my last few slides, yeah. So under the matching strategy of SWOT, so an example of the results would be to implement creative web online marketing to build interest of consumers. But when this is a strength and opportunity. But when you convert the weaknesses of the SWOT to the opportunities, what we saw is that there's an increased bargaining power between supplier and the business owner, all right? And so that's a plus point, okay, an opportunity for the supplier and business owner. Now, when we try to convert the threats to strength, we see that there's competitive advantage to win on the customers because this is different fashion design altogether. And we talk about minimizing the weaknesses and strategies. We offer discounts and to customer on certain period, especially during COVID times, pandemic. All right, because people do not spend on clothing much during this time. They would focus more on the food. So what would be my recommendation? This is my last 2 slides. Number 1, to establish more Islamic product brand. Number 2, more Islamic fashion show and probably a COVID fashion festival. And then next, so we start COVID fashion festival for a modest fashion first. And next we have the internet marketing. And then we also look into more fashion designer for the Islamic fashion. And we have research and produce more products varieties, okay, innovation. And finally, to study and research on Islamic fashion, as well as probably anti-cult fashion for both, not only women, but now you have to look into the men, we cannot leave them out. So my last slide in conclusion, many of the fashion clothing produced do not actually comply with the teaching of Al-Quran to be labeled as Islamic fashion, but only can be considered as modest fashion. So the positive impact to the phenomenon is that more and more Muslim women dress in Muslim fashion style nowadays, okay? And without education and understanding of the Islamic dress, this category is only considered as a modest fashion. But before I call off, take note that this market of this garment of late, especially in Malaysia, and I'm sure more in countries that have appreciation of Muslim and their attire, does not limit this attire to the Muslim people only. So with that, thank you, Dr. Alina. Any questions can just post it to me, and also I will answer via email or via phone number. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Faridah, for such a lively presentation. So I now open the session for Q&A or sharing of experience. I'm rather intrigued by the interesting designs that Prof showed. Okay, so it is very colorful and it shows a diverse culture, and it is actually an attractant. So I actually posted some information which I find interesting also in the Q&A, because there are studies before this that indicate that we humans, everywhere we go, we have our own microflora and it behaves like a cloud.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, besides just the functional properties of our clothing, dressing to protect us and making us look attractive, perhaps it can also be kind of protection and has some microbiological hygiene and cleanliness. Okay, so because there have been many studies worldwide which actually isolate a group, okay, in a certain places, and then after that they take microbial swabs. They see that there are different microflora which is specifics on the lifestyle or the persons. Okay, so that is what I thought. And when Prof mentioned just now, I was wondering if in the future our Muslim aurat or Muslim attire, it may have also antimicrobial, or perhaps even nanotech, okay, like silver nanoparticles on the garment, so that there will be less microbes or less dirtiness in it. Or perhaps somebody may come up and design actually garments which are wrinkle free, and we can wear it from prayers, for sports, for professional business attire, and it is light, it is comfortable, and it is very concealing for our woman's dignity. Okay, any question so far, or sharing or session? Maybe they should, as I know, like a Nike, they had designed swimwear for Muslimah. Okay.
Right.
And then I had also read that Nike actually designed swimwear, Speedo. Okay. And they have the design based on the inspired by the skills of the shark, so that Olympian swimmers can have a very strong competitive advantage when they swim. Okay, so I think we should be thinking beyond just dresses or garments to make females look attractive. It should also be functional, practical, and protective. Perhaps wear garments which protect us from extreme temperatures, from heat, or from extreme cold. Also for the old, weak ones, or even for children. Okay, so I think there's a lot of new areas which is not ventured yet, and so this is exciting. So, Prof, we are glad to have you here, and we hope that this is not the last time. Okay, in the future, you will also share with us your dynamic research and updates, Prof.
Inshallah.
And, inshallah. So now I would like to call upon our next presenter, okay, who is Datin Raskidah. Okay. So hold on, I'm trying to share some information of okay. Are you able to see the screen sharing now of our next speaker, Datin Raskidah Ali? Okay, I think sorry, I tried to put PDF to share. I am very impressed with with CV for such a young person to have achieved so much, which I think is the challenges. Okay. But I'm not good at sharing. Hold on. I think I will just give you a brief introduction of Datin Raskidah Ali, who is the Honorary Chairman of Malaysia Islamic Investment Chamber of Commerce. So Datin Raskidah Ali holds an important position in Women's Empowerment Mission. So she has been the brain of Women TV Asia, WTA, to co-founding a new finance technology or fintech platform, and is currently the honorary chairwoman, Malaysian Islamic Investment Chamber of Commerce, and the bridge between international and local investors in the Islamic investment arena. Besides the chamber, that Raskidah is also an advocate of fashion and beauty industry, and had done a project, Mary Global, one of the biggest model fashion show that had been launched locally, known as Mary Malaysia, together with co-founder Franca Surya, known global modest fashion expert. So she's also among the few Malay women who is actively blockchain, cryptocurrency, and was one of the delegates in a recent trip of Sharia compliance of cryptocurrency in Japan. In 2018, tried ISRA, International Islamic University of Malaysia, and USIM, my own university, and Bank of So the span shows multidisciplinary from modest fashion industry to strengthening women empowerment in the field of fintech. Please welcome Datin.
Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Hello. Alhamdulillah. Finally. But I cannot see the camera. I don't know why. But can you see me?
We cannot see you, but we can see your slide.
Doesn't matter then. Okay, so maybe Allah has the better plan for me, so that I cannot be seen. Anyway, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm so glad to be here, and I was amazed by the presentation of Prof.Dr. Faridah from UITM. Right, it was very detailed and very specific. As far as modest concerned, Islamic fashion is concerned. But I would like to touch specifically in the modest fashion, not so much Islamic, because actually I would also like to highlight on certain issues about this current modest fashion thingy. So as you see, before that, I would like to thank especially Dr. Noor for recommending and pushing and convincing me to join this discussion, this afternoon discussion. Thank you, Dr. Noor from SASNet, and thank you, Puan Alina or Dr. Alina, the organizer of this. Are you the organizer?
I am the volunteer.
Volunteer. Okay. And Muhammad Noor, is it the one that has been contacting me? Okay, the organizer, and having heard your previous, the previous speaker, I feel I do not want to overlap, so I've actually edited a few of my slides. Okay, young generation in modest fashion industry, right? If we note that modest fashion, when I started off back in 2014, and then I joined a kind of witness the 2017 February 2007 London's Muslim Fashion Week, launched by several online fashion marketplaces, especially the Haute Elan. We saw 40 designers from all over, from UK to Saudi Arabia, showcasing their clothes and all that. However, as far as I would like to highlight that their fashion is very modest as compared to what we have right now in Malaysia. Notwithstanding the fact that faith and fashion are actually largely mutually exclusive, but prior to this we have like a Muslim woman having to resort to a jigsaw puzzle assemblage of long sleeve t-shirts and cardigan to cover low cut necks and sleeveless dresses. Now we see the emergence of not non-long sleeve t-shirts, a nice cardigan, floral, and sometimes very up to date. So because the wheels have turned quickly, we even have like the first hijab wearing model to appear in the mainstream Western fashion campaign. And then you see a Palestinian wearing the hijab around in a H&M campaign, and then the New York Fashion Week having the Somalian American model Halima Aden, the first hijab wearer to be signed to M&G models. So she made her runway debut during the Kenya West Yeezy's season 5 show. Now, my next slide, I will touch on this. Hang on. How do I do the next slide? Amy? Mana? The next slide. Okay. What is modest fashion? So I call it modest fashion. I'm not specifically touching Islamic fashion, so it should be less revealing. Sadly, in Malaysia, because we're staying in Malaysia, this is where I come from, Dewan Perniagaan Wanita Islam Malaysia, the Malaysian Muslim Women Chamber of Commerce. I see that they have not gotten or not fully understood how it is to be modest, especially when they do this kind of when they present their self in this manner. Where is it, my dear? The next slide. Okay. Now, this is the industry. Okay, modest fashion. How and why the young generation should embrace. If you look on my right and on my left, on my right you will see I presume, please forgive me if she's not Muslim. Even if she is, she's not wearing the hijab. But what she wears, and on my left, Muslim woman definitely. I mean, inshallah. I mean, alhamdulillah, the way because she dons the hijab, and then So you see on the left, this is the current trend of the Malaysian hijabers, and they like to call themselves the modest fashion advocates. But most of them, I would say most, 60 to 70%, post on the social media with this kind of tight, revealing the shapes of the Muslim woman, and not only that, some will actually start dancing and making movement in front of camera in the name of TikTokers, and then they call themselves, oh, we are the modest fashion advocates, and some of them are even designers of the modest fashion industry. So I feel it's sad to say, because on my right, that is modest to me, even though she doesn't wear a hijab because she's not Islamic, but that's modest. But on my left, she's supposed to be a Muslim, supposed to dress up modestly, and yet this is what is happening right now. So this is where I'm addressing. Next year, I'll be holding something to address this issue. Now, I heard someone mention bikini just now. The bikini, which is a swimming costume which covers the whole body, right? Now, bikini, well, in sometime in sometime in 2014, I think. We have got this. There was this fashion show where our I'm not sure she's quite popular. The culinary goddess, we call it. She donned this bikini in a modest fashion event, right? So what happened was, she says that she is no stranger to the modest wear. She was photographed wearing this bikini on a beach 6 years ago, and she was quoted as saying, "This modest event is about diversity and showing that as much modesty is a part of the Islamic faith, everyone is welcome to be a part of it." So this is modest. Whereas the generation over here, or the designers in Malaysia, they like they are in the league of the modest fashion or the Islamic fashion, but I do not see much of it, because they will be wearing very tight Malay, they call it baju kurung fashion or kebaya, and that I don't think that's modest enough. I do not want to call it Islamic, but that is not modest enough. So I'm trying to hold a forum or a modest fashion showcase, inshallah next year in August 2022, to discuss this, and then to educate, or to if I do not, if it's educate is if the word educate is a bit harsh, I would say sharing of knowledge, that let's work towards a modest, not just covering but revealing. So covering but revealing. It's covering but revealing the shape of the breast and revealing the shape of the private part, right? Okay. And the generation N. How young Muslim women are driving a modest fashion revolution. If you can see, back in 2014, we have DKNY joining the world of the modest fashion. But they came up with a very nice Ramadan collection, which is very modest, loose, and not covering. But they are DKNY, and an international brand, followed by Mango, then followed by Uniqlo, teaming up with UK fashion designer Hanan Tajima. They created the modest fashion line. But again, I'm addressing this because I am from DEWI, which is Dewan Perniagaan Wanita Islam Malaysia. Malaysian Women Islamic Chamber of Commerce. I would like to appeal to the designers in Malaysia. Please be more sensitive when you are designing modest fashion or a Muslim Malaysian dress. Please try not to be so revealing. So if we have a DKNY, which is an international label, and we have Mango and even Uniqlo, which are designing modest fashion in a really modest way, why can't we have our local designers to create the fashion, to create fashion which is more modest than them, or as modest as these international labels, So why is it come to cause such a stir? See, a lot of young people use the social media, and that has been the cause of the push for this fashion revolution. So just like we saw with the Arab Spring, right? Now we're seeing that change in fashion. So that change in fashion does not mean you can still wear. We can have amass millions of followers by posting hijab and turban tutorials, blog posts about the arduous art of layering clothes, or to create demure and chic looks. Hence crystallizing the status of the Kardashians of modest fashion. But the modesty of the fashion must be taken into consideration. If you notice that our local designer, Rizalman, sorry, I would like to quote him. He has left the fashion industry simply because when he tried, he felt, because now he has deepened his knowledge, and he would like to know, he would like to what do you call that, enrich himself about the Islamic knowledge. So he feels that, you know, if he shape a woman so in a reliving manner, he will have to be accountable. But if he does it loose, the wearer or the model or the, you know, the audience will not like it. So he feels that, you know, he's in the middle. So the best thing is in Islam, if you're not sure, leave. Not sure, stay away. So that's what he's doing. So young Muslim women, to drive this modest fashion revolution, they need to be more informed. What modest is, what modest is about. So Islamic fashion and modest fashion, it can be beautiful if you have a very modest Islamic fashion. I do not want to mention the fashion designers, I mean the local fashion designers, but I would say 50% do not meet the modest criteria, just from my observation. Yeah. Okay, this is back to Generation M. Now, how young tech-savvy entrepreneur Muslim millionaire can lead the modest fashion with their hipster tendencies. Now, hipster is actually, I derived from the word Muslim hipster. So hipster, you know, is like a, you know, maybe probably the next word is swag, means very fashionable fashion, fashionable outfit. But Muslim fashionable outfits, so instead of calling them hipster, we call them hipster. We term them as hipster. So this young tech-savvy entrepreneur Muslim millionaire can lead. They can lead, but let's bring them together to, inshallah, our forum on this modest fashion showcase next year, and we can discuss, and we bring in panels. We don't pinpoint, but we call it knowledge sharing, and sometimes it's good to share as opposed to telling. So we share. So when during the sharing, deep down they will know, oh, so what we've been doing is not so modest after all. So I think we should, in our next collection or creation, we would avoid this kind of design. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to send a message to. Now, as mentioned just now, our modest fashion showcase in August 2022, scheduled to, inshallah, organized by the DEWI, Dewan Perdagangan Islam Malaysia, the Malaysian Muslim Chamber of Commerce. It will be a 3 days forum touching on a 3 days event. First 2 days being the forum, and the third is the wrap up, and we have the fashion showcase. We might be introducing a few gimmicks not to highlight what's so wrong about the modest fashion showcase, but we want to see, okay, this is modest fashion, this is Islamic fashion, so they know the Islamic fashion consists of being modest and fashionable. Modest, you don't have to don the hijab, but it is modest enough, so which is acceptable. So this is what we are trying to, inshallah, we will try to advocate next year, August 2022. Right, and well, before I end my short and sassy presentation, I would like to just touch a bit. When we talk about Muslim fashion entrepreneurs, what actually are we talking about? You know, they've been around for years. They are really great designers from Saudi, Malaysia, Indonesia. The only difference is it is only now that the West has recognized this. So let the West recognize us. If it's modest, let it be modest. Not just modest, but nothing modest, nothing so modest about it. So the entrepreneurial and creative flair of a vibrant young generation, as well as the universal appeal of modest fashion, will ensure its longevity, not as a trend, but as a permanent fixture in the world of fashion. Well, like it or not, modest fashion is officially out of the closet, and let's brave it. So with that, I end my presentation. Thank you so much. Ma'assalama.
Thank you again, Datin Raskidah, for such a lively presentation.
Yeah, that was meant to be.
Yes. I will now open the session for question and answer.
Any? Actually, I would love to open up the camera, but I don't know why I cannot. Or maybe I should stop sharing. Can you stop sharing? And then maybe I can see the picture. Mana dia? Doctor, no, are you there? I cannot see. I don't see the. I cannot see. Just start sharing. Yeah, there's no camera. There's no camera here.
I'm here.
Yeah, I can see you. I can see Prof.Dr.
I can see all of you.
Yeah, I can, but I cannot see that thing. Later.
Datin, I don't know how, but I think for this time, this platform makes you into the most mysterious presenter. And we hope that we are able to see you in the next year's event.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's right.
Datin, as well as our audience, what do you think that for our session, we not only focus on ladies, but also the gentlemen, and actually there should be a clear demarcation about what halal and modest fashion should be between male and females, because we don't want the confusion of the merging of male or females for the third gender, because this is actually not in the tenets of Islam. We only have the chromosome X for females and the chromosome XY for males. But for the design of attire nowadays, there seems to be a kind of confusion. Maybe somebody can comment on this.
Your phone on. Because it kinds of echo. You have to switch off one of the microphones. Dr. Alina, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, now it's not breaking. It was like breaking just now.
Okay, so sorry.
It's okay. I think there were two microphones, so you need to switch one off. Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Did you get the what I had been saying just now? Or was it clear?
You can repeat if you want.
Okay, I think for this modest fashion industry, I think we should set the basics very clear, okay, so that there are the clarification between what is it between men and women, okay. There should not be in such a way that it is confusing, okay, that the men wear it and it look like a woman, or the females wear it and it looks like males, okay. Unless for females, there are certain kinds of uniforms, okay, related to their profession that the design design must keep into consideration like safety or the professions, maybe like soldiers or for those who work in hospitals or armed force and so on. Okay, so I think with designs of the modest fashion, perhaps there should be like a scale or a benchmark or units which describe, okay, modest fashion, but not necessarily Sharia compliant. Okay, and what are the conducts of attires for men and women, but not the mixed gender, yeah, so that the young generations will not be confused. Okay, so can perhaps you all give your views on this?
I think I go first, yeah, Dr. Alina.
Please do, Prof.
Yeah, all right. What you said is true. Actually, last year I presented the same topic on fashion, with regards to both men and women, and definitely I think we at the moment probably kind of put aside the men for a while because a lot of fashion industry are being I think flourished by the women. However, I do not know whether next year Dr. Ras or Dr. No would be inviting the guys along. But it's great to have them, so that they're not being counted out. And definitely we need to explain also the principles for the men as well as for the women, and that they should not converge anywhere, so that with due respect of the gender, they should be defined separately so that the designers will understand well, as well as the users, both men and women, would be able to I would say do their role in dressing correctly and well for the lifestyle. I think that's all that I need to comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Faridah. Any more opinions or feedbacks?
Maybe Dr. No wanted to say something?
I think for me, I'm more as an assessor for anybody who wants to get into a project that has got an impact for the community. So we would like to give that recognition, so that they get an element of where they can contribute according to the standards, the Sharia standards and so on. So because a lot of people, when nobody recognize or give a recognition about their effort, so they may feel that the standards is okay. So kalau kita ada satu for this modest fashion and we allow people to get into it, but we also assess the project that they have so that we give them a recognition of their effort, and that will give them a better branding and a better comfort zone that they are in the right track. If not, people will say that they are nothing against what they are doing. We're not saying that they cannot be creative, but when we talk about it professionally on the sustainability element of the modern fashion, we want to look at on a framework that is not only talk about sustainability as a sustainable material, but we also look at the point of view that we're not going to do a lot of wastage, we're going to do a lot of it give more job opportunity, and also create economy that can uplift the fashion itself. So I think that will help a lot of our community, the local community, to be recognized as a contributor towards modest fashion. That's where my uptake is.
Okay, I think that is a very healthy and constructive view Dr. No. I think it is actually high time for us, okay, among those from the industry, those who are Sharia based, as well as universities, designers. I think we should work along hand in hand together, okay. And about apparels, okay, in fashion. It should be if we want to make a chronology, it's also like food. Okay, we cannot say that the food is 70% halal. It's either 100% halal or it is haram. Okay, so if there are contaminants, okay, so actually we cannot have the halal logo on it, and the dress is also actually a mirror of the individual personal taste, okay, and also to reflect the person or wearer as a Muslim, okay, and also to give protection as well as maintaining the dignity and also have a pleasing first impression. Okay, so I think if food commodity, we have already started the halal standards measure. Perhaps with regards to apparel, there should be a scales of definition with clarity of what is described as halal and Sharia compliance versus modest, which is not necessarily a Muslim friendly, which is not necessarily Muslim friendly. Okay, it's just modest. Okay, and it's not too revealing, so that it can also reflect our ASEAN culture. We are not just talking about Malaysia, but also across the borders, countries, what is pleasing to the eyes and what is not provoking or obscene. Okay, so that is my view, and perhaps I think I'm so glad that Datin Ras had initiated an event next year, okay, which will actually get those in this industry to be actively involved. Okay, so I think any more questions? Okay, I am checking through the
InsyaAllah.
okay Q&A. Alright. So I think if there are no more questions left, I would like to thank very much all the attendees as well as Datin Ras, Prof.Dr. Faridah, Dr. Noor for having such a lively discussion, and we hope that this event it will actually not end here. It is just a starting point that we can start something with our students or younger generation, or also as a community volunteer. So with this, I think we have come up to an end, and we shall actually stop this presentation, and we stop it with the recital of Tasbih Kifara and Surah Al-Asri.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sabr.
Wassallallahu wassalam ala Sayyidina Muhammad, and thank you everybody for being here with us. Okay, so bye-bye.
Bye. Yes. Stay safe, stay modest. Right on. Bye. Assalam.
Bye.
Thank you so much.